is reversing Alzheimer's being induced, because it can cross the human brain and it can actually slow down brain aging. Okay, so there are many different polyphenols or olives. Some we are just identifying them, but HIDROX is right now the one with the most powerful antioxidant activity, right? As I mentioned earlier, it's responsible for the bitter aftertaste, the bitter sharp taste that you would get in virgin olive oil, right? And it's abundant in the fruit. This is probably the insight of Roberto Crea, because it was more in the fruit than the juice. It was, and also people tend to look at it in the leaf, and I'll talk about leaf later, right? So it was being thrown away in the process, right? And it seems to work in synergy with all the other polyphenols. In other words, it's just one doesn't help. It's like a note in music or a color of the rainbow, right? The most powerful color may be red, but if there's no green and there's no purple, it won't be nice. It won't be complete, right? So you have now an extract of olive, which is prepared in a way where all the elements are in synergy, and you get the peak effects in terms of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, and also antimicrobial activity as well. Okay, so that led Dr. Crea to develop a product called HIDROX and to patent a process, right? And the HIDROX compound is recovered from the fruit or the juice, right? And it's recovered in a very, very environmentally friendly way. So, and this is a big story, you know, certainly in Europe and North America, where you don't want to destroy the environment by throwing away byproducts of a process. So it was discovered in a very environment-friendly way, and it became a product that he called HIDROX. Now, I want to share with you quickly some of the properties of HIDROX, right? It's heat-resistant, which means that it can be processed, right? Highly stable at room temperature, purple to brown in color, okay? And you'll notice as well, you know, you are asked to wear purple today, you are asked to wear, you see purple all room, because we're trying to focus on this, right? And 95% water soluble. Now, this is a very important story, we'll talk about this later as well, right? It forms emulsions in oil, so while it's water soluble, it can also be oil soluble, okay? It's water soluble, but also oil soluble. Now, it's also mildly hygroscopic. Hygroscopic means it pulls water, right? And so if you make a capsule and you're not good at making a capsule, then it tends to clump, and maybe the capsule gets darker and changes color, right? So that's itself is a technology of formulating, and that's why you'll notice some of the people who sell olive now tend to change the color capsule, because they don't want to show you the browning and the clumping. Okay, so that in itself takes a little bit of formulation expertise to get the product stable. Now, what's unique about the product is that you got this rainbow of antioxidants, right? The synergy of polyphenols, right? It's all grown organically, certified organic, fully made in California, right? And it is, and I'll talk about this later, a process called freeze drying. It's a freeze drying process. So the process is actually quite expensive, where you lower the temperature and work with pressure to dry it, right? It's the same technology used in sperm banks to maintain the sperm. In other words, the sperm is dried, but it remains alive, right? So all the benefits of the product are maintained. This is as opposed to other products which tend to be spray dried. Okay? Now, the process is completely patented, so the way it's done is by way of a patent. It's not modified genetically. It's allergen-free. There's no allergy in it, right? There's no allergic markers in it. It's, of course, halal, being a fruit, obviously, but also a halal process without the use of alcohol and such. And it's also kosher certified, which is a big thing in the US. Okay? Now, these are some of the benefits of HIDROX. I think they are important. I think we're going to go for a break shortly, and I'll finish up with this slide. But I think, you know, in a capsule, it puts in the idea of healing. Okay? It's got potent antioxidant effects, right? Potent anti-inflammatory. So actually brings swelling down. As I mentioned to you earlier, literally every disease is due to inflammation. We are now showing that even if you become obese, it's inflammation. Right? Bone disease, inflammation. Arthritis, degeneration, all of it's inflammation. Cancer is inflammation. Right? So it becomes contingent on human beings to take a lot of anti-inflammatory foods, and we know they're greens. That's why you take vegetables as part of the process. Right? It has got potent antibacterial effect. It works as an antibacterial. In fact, in the US, there's a brand called Sunsweet where they're using HIDROX as the preservative already, right? Because it's potent antibacterial. There are significant improvements in arthritis, right? Over time, you get improvement in your joints, in your synovial joints, where there's inflammation and swelling and degeneration. And you got improvements in hyperlipidemia. Your blood profile will improve. Cholesterol, your so-called bad cholesterol, your LDL becomes very high when there is not enough antioxidants. Okay? And your good cholesterol actually becomes lower because the conversion can't take place. And then there is significant improvement in psoriasis. Now, psoriasis is, as all of you know, it's a very awful disease. Your skin basically takes 28 days, right, for the cells at the base of the skin to go to the surface of the skin is 28 days. In psoriasis, it's 5 days. So the skin comes up red, scaly, very poorly formed, right? And it's a difficult condition to treat. And in clinical trials, it has been shown to have a remarkable effect on psoriasis, right? So that led us to focus on skin care specifically. And we're going to go for a short break now for about half an hour. Half an hour, right? Half an hour break. And we'll come back and talk more about HIDROX, skin care, but also inflammation. Yeah? I'll be here, so if you're going to come and ask me any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
As we can see that people are trying to queuing up to buy all the products from Truveno. Okay, madam, what's your name?
I'm Madam Lee Supin. Madam Lee.
Madam Lee. Okay, Madam Lee is right over here. We're just trying to ask her that how does she feel that after she come to the talk? How do you feel that after you come?
I feel being confident to purchase any of this product.
Okay. So, and how do you feel about Truveno?
Huh?
How you feel about Truveno?
I think it's a new product. I want to try it.
You want to try
because I have skin problem, itchiness.
Do you have confidence with Truveno?
Hopefully, I will take. If good, then I will continue taking.
Thank you very much, Madam Lee. So, Madam Mano, what's your name?
Cynthia.
Cynthia. This is Madam Cynthia in front. We're just trying to get some comment that how do she feel about the event. Madam, how do you feel that after you attend our talk?
Very informative.
Okay. Again, sorry?
Informative. Yeah.
Informative. All right. Besides that, how do you think about the talk from Rajen?
I just take his medicine. I don't take any other.
Okay. All right. So do you think that his word is being good enough?
Oh yes,
advice?
definitely. Yes.
Good.
One time I couldn't walk, and the hospital was going to do replacement surgery on my knees and my ankles.
All right.
And now I'm perfectly all right.
So after the advice from Rajen again,
yes, I've been
taking
his medication for quite a few years.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Cynthia. Have a nice day.
Okay, Coming back now to HIDROX, yeah. So we're now looking at the personal care market. Okay, this is an industry slide in the US. It's a very large market, and consumers want natural products. People like you in the US, and they know it works well. They know it's effective. They know it's superior, right? And they also, at least this is a study done in the US, they want organic products, right? And more companies are going towards organic certification because people say, look, I just don't want the product, but I also want the product without the toxins, without the pesticides, and without the hormones and antibiotics and what have you. Okay? So the natural personal care in the market in the US keeps growing, and the preference today is for natural. The preference is for organic, right? And it's in all areas, right? And skincare, in terms of ranking, is the highest. People are most concerned about a product being organic when it's in skincare. It's quite obvious now you think about it, but that's where they want it to be certified organic. Now, these are slides that Dr. Roberto gave me himself when we met about 7 months ago, right? And I want to share them with you because it's better to get it directly from the horse, if you like. Now, this is focusing specifically on beautiful skin because when we met many months ago, we wanted to focus on skin, right? Because we know HIDROX or Truveno works in everything. We know it works. Somebody asked me, would it work for asthma? Yes. Would it work for sinus? Yes. How much depends on you, on your dose, on consistency, but it works. But we want to focus on skin because skin is a big area and there are very few products out there that really focus on skin. Yeah. Now, olive has been used for skin for ages, from the time of Cleopatra, right? They've been using olive and olive fruit extract, and olive has been added, and there's a reason for it because it's rich in the fatty acids, right? It's rich in the organic oleic acids, right? And we know now it's rich in antioxidants, and therefore it's rich in all these free radical activity, quenching activities, scavenger activity, things that you would expect because your skin is the one most exposed to radiation, pollution, sun, temperature changes, right? Humidity, air conditioning room, and so on and so forth. So olive can be a very powerful part of it, right? Now, I want to focus probably on this slide here and take you through the wording there in red because I think that's very important, yeah? Now, the olive, see, if we look at just focus on this, yeah? Although polyphenols are present in olive oil, they are 300 to 500 times concentration greater in the vegetation water from the pulp, the olive juice. Remember I told you? This was the insight of Roberto Crea. Huh? He realized that we were saving the oil and throwing away the pulp, the water, and in the water, there was 300 to 500 times higher concentration of the hydroxytyrosol, right? 300 times higher, right? And 90% of polyphenols are transferred to the water phase during the processing period. So as you squeeze out the oil, the polyphenols go into the water, and then we take the juice and we throw it away, or give it to the animals in animal feed. Right? So the real value of the oil actually is the lesser you press it, the better it is, and that's why extra virgin. And that's why you get the bitterness, because you get the antioxidant, the polyphenols, which are the main source of these antioxidants. Right? So this is the insight of Roberto Crea. He realized that, hey, you guys are squeezing the fruit, taking the oil, and throwing out the juice, but in the process transferring out the polyphenols, the antioxidant-rich polyphenols, right? So in other words, we were really throwing away the gold in the gold process. All right? Now, then this is how the process. People ask me over the lunch break, even the lady from Bernama asked me, how is this done over the break just now? And I said the process that Roberta Correa has is this so-called Integrale process, right? It was a chemical-free process, right? A two-step process where they remove the pits from the pulp, right? And separate the polyphenolic-rich water from the oil, right? And we treat with only citric acid and freeze drying. Okay? And therefore, there you inhibit both oxidation of the polyphenols and you release hydroxytyrosol from oleuropein. Now, we will talk about oleuropein a lot later, okay? You're going to be inundated in the next coming months with people who are coming and telling you that they have an olive leaf extract, right? And olive leaf extract is oleuropein, and oleuropein, as we will see later, becomes hydroxytyrosol. It's a breakdown process, but oleuropein itself is very poorly absorbed, very poorly metabolized in the body, and has little effectiveness, especially when applied on the skin. Okay? Now, so this results in a golden brown, purplish, freeze-dried powder. Looks pretty much like sand, right? And this powder, right, is rich in this hydroxytyrosol, and there are no undesirable substances that come from the crushed pits. Because sometimes when you pits of the nuts, right, you get toxic substances. So all that is gone, right? And you then keep the unique polyphenol composition, yeah? And you keep this 6% compound, 6% polyphenols, right? So at the end of the day, you've got a environmentally friendly process, right? And you've got 100% organic green olives, completely natural, completely solvent-free, right? And has the highest concentration of hydroxytyrosol, right? This particular process has got 3 US patents, right? And it's certified organic, right? And its INSEE name, its international name is Olea fruit dried vegetation water. Okay, so we're back again to this, what we talk about, this magic, the secret of the Mediterranean diet, right? And that is where you have this hydroxytyrosol, the super antioxidant, yeah? It's the most powerful member of the polyphenol group, the most powerful member of the polyphenol family. It's extremely rare, right? And that's why you pay a lot of money for the extra virgin olive oil, right? And it's extremely difficult to extract, right? But it's extremely potent. Small amounts can cause a lot of effect, right? Very high in anti-inflammation, slows the skin aging process by repairing cell membranes, but also preventing cell membrane breakdown by way of controlling inflammation. Okay? It's got a very wide variety of applications: dietary supplement, functional food, cosmetics, and animal health. Okay? I've shown you this slide before, but I think it's worth looking at it again, right? Where you're comparing hydroxytyrosol, as we get to know this compound better, you're comparing this with all the other antioxidants. Vitamin C is there, green tea is here, apple peel, grape extract, right? And this is the ORAC actual scores, and you can see, right, is an ORAC score of hydroxytyrosol is more than double that of the nearest compounds, right? And far more than the standard antioxidants you would find, right? So the ORAC score is a short form for oxygen radical absorption capacity, the ability to absorb the radicals from oxygen, right? And pure hydroxytyrosol shows the strongest free radical activity currently established on the planet. Okay? And it's got excellent pharmacokinetic activities, so it's very well absorbed, very well metabolized, and very well used by the body, very well spread by the body, goes into all the tissues. So you get it even in brain tissue. As I said, there are studies going on now where actually we think it delays brain aging and probably documents the destruction of brain tissue. Okay? Now, this looks like a lot of science, but let me make it very simple, right? This is an inflammation pathway. This happens in any form of inflammation. Arthritis, cancer, long-term diabetes, peripheral neuritis, right? Aging. If you've got pain, anywhere you have pain, this is what's happening. This is a cascade of reactions, okay? Now, so you have the basis of this, which is arachidonic acid, okay? And it breaks down into two prostaglandins, lipoxygenase and cyclooxygenase, right? And this one is a COX pathway, and this breaks down into two very, very powerful inflammatory compounds, prostaglandins and thromboxanes, right? So people in pain, people having high levels of inflammation, people who have cancer have very high levels of thromboxane as well as prostaglandins, okay? They are markers of inflammation, and they cause serious long-term consequences in the body, right? Now, we know, for example, and you know how a steroid would work? A steroid will work because a steroid works here. It just prevents it from happening completely, right? So the problem is steroid, it will block this, but it also blocks the other natural pathways which are anti-inflammatory. So you get side effects, right? But for example, those of you who got a lot of pain and you may have taken a product like Acoxia, right? Painkillers, they work here. They block this. They block the cyclooxygenase pathway. And that's what they call COX. They're called COX inhibitors. And hence the word Acoxia, right? So now we have a method of naturally modulating this process. That puts a lot of power back into what is called natural chemistry or green chemistry, okay? Now, it also has strong activity on the cell membranes, and it prevents the cell membranes from breaking down, from being inflamed, right? And this is 6 times more effective than oleuropein. Now, oleuropein is, as I mentioned earlier, the olive leaf extract. Okay? In the coming months, you're going to be inundated with people talking about that, because more and more companies come into this. When they hear olive is a big thing, but they don't get it from olive fruit, they get it from olive leaf, and they get the oleuropeins, right? Now, the oleuropeins are effective, but they are nowhere near effective as hydrox or hydroxytyrosol in reducing lipid oxidation. You see, if before your cell is compromised, the lipids, the fat around the cell needs to be broken down. And as you know, fat tends to oxidize. That's why your butter turns rancid. Your fish starts smelling, right? And there's a process of oxidation. And you need to have antioxidants flowing in your system to prevent the cell from oxidizing and breaking down. Okay? Okay? Now, this is comparing ascorbic acid, vitamin C, in terms of superoxide free radical activity, right? You can see again, hydroxytyrosol is far more superior in scavenging at higher concentrations, at lower levels, scavenging against against super radicals, okay, or superoxide activity. So it scavenges out the free radicals. It scavenges out the free radicals. It mops them up. Or to put it in a language that's easy to understand, it actually takes the smoke away, right? It takes the smoke away so the cell can breathe, live, and grow naturally. Okay? Now, in terms of antioxidant, right? Again, yeah, we are only comparing the fruit and the leaf, right? So you can see the antioxidant activity is highest with the fruit, right? And using the water from the fruit. Remember, Roberto Crea noticed that we were throwing away the best part of the olive after the process. Okay? This is very important, especially in anti-cancer capacity, ability to reduce cancer oxidation, right? The Singlet oxygen, which is the free radicals, right? So you can see the hydroxytyrosol or Hydrox is far superior to all that we have right now on the market. Yeah, it's measured by a light absorption, right? Far, far superior to what's available on the market right now. Again, in terms of quenching superoxide, after this oxidation, you get a superoxide, you get the free radicals, you got to quench it, you got to pick up, you got to blow away the smoke, you got to accept it out. And once again, you can see that the Hydrox is far superior to whatever else is compared with. Okay. Again, now you compare them with foods that you and I know, that you and I take very often. Because we are told these fruits are good, and they are good. But I just want you to get a marker, a basis for comparing, and you can see, right, you're comparing with tangerine, strawberry, raspberry, plums, right, peach, orange, cranberry, blueberry, right, blackberry, bananas, as well as apples. And, you know, if you take, for example, the score here, the OREX scores, yeah, the Hydrox is 1,416, right? Let's take blueberries, which we are told is very strong, right? 1,416 versus 61. Cranberries, 92, right? Blackberry, 52. Raspberry, 47. So you're talking about 50, 60, 70 times more activity of the peroxides. So this is a major significant breakthrough in the way we understand this to be now. Okay? Now, they did testing where they compared, they used ammonia to irritate the skin. Right? They used ammonia to irritate the skin. And they found that, and they compared it with a compound that is used in natural chemistry called bisabolol, yeah? And it found it to be significantly superior, right, in preventing the 7-day induction or 7-day irritation test, okay? Significantly superior to what we currently use right now, okay? Now, I just want to take a bit of time to talk about the olive fruit versus olive leaf. Because I'll be very honest, 7 months ago, I was probably as knowledgeable as you. All same one leaf, one fruit, right? Huge difference, okay? Now, what's active in the fruit is hydroxytyrosol, okay? What's active in the leaf is oleuropein, okay? And oleuropein becomes hydroxytyrosol in the fruit. And if it's taken in your body, it is broken down too. But the only problem with that is the olive leaf, right, is broken, is fat soluble. The olive fruit is water soluble. The olive fruit is a small molecule. The